Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are going deep on site reliability engineering. We're going to trace the entire life cycle of an SRE team, right from that very first person championing the cause, all the way to a massive, fully formed organization. Okay, so here's what we're getting into. We'll kick things off with how an SRE team even comes to be, how it evolves. Then we'll talk about the messy reality of that journey. Spoiler, it's not a straight line. After that, we'll dig into how these teams actually scale up, and we'll wrap it all up by looking at the real impact a mature SRE org can have. All right, let's start with the first and maybe the most important shift. This is where an SRE team stops being just the fire department, running around putting out fires, and starts becoming more like the town planner, actively working to make things safer and more reliable from the get-go. So what does it mean to be an advocate? Well, it's a total mindset shift, right? You're going from reactive to proactive. It means you're in the room for those early design meetings. And this is huge. It means you're building awesome self-service tools that let developers build reliability right into their code from the very beginning. You're giving them the power. But being an advocate, that's just step one. The journey doesn't stop there. The role keeps evolving, getting woven deeper and deeper into the fabric of the dev teams. This is where SREs go from being advocates to being true partners. And then, if everything goes right, they become just engineers. The lines completely blur. Yeah, and this path right here is so important to understand. You start as an advocate, kind of on the outside looking in, figuring out how to help. Then you become a partner. Now you're at the table, planning with them. And that final, ultimate goal, the engineer stage. Here, you can't even tell who's who. Reliability is just what everyone does. It's a shared goal for the whole team. Now, that partner stage, this is where something really cool happens. It's where this idea of a reliability strata or platform comes into play. Think about it. Instead of just propping up one service at a time, SREs start building the bedrock, the foundation that everybody built on. This is a total game changer, a huge strategic move. So, that final engineer stage. It sounds amazing, right? This perfect world of collaboration. But let's be real, the source is super honest about this. This ideal state, it's pretty rare and it's fragile. A big reorg or a budget cut can come along and just shatter it. It's something to strive for, but it's not easy to maintain. Okay, so you might be looking at all this and thinking, great, a nice, clean, step-by-step plan. But not so fast. Here's the reality check. The actual journey is way messier and honestly a lot more interesting than just going from point A to point B. And that leads us to a super important point. A big warning label, really. Is this some kind of strict, linear roadmap you have to follow exactly? The answer is a huge, emphatic no. I love this comparison. The source brings up the famous 5 stages of grief. And what's interesting is that Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, who came up with it, had to spend years telling people, hey, this isn't a checklist. You don't go through them in order. It's the exact same idea for how an SRE team grows. It's a framework, not a rulebook. And man, this quote from David Coldill just says it all. A wobbly full cycle is way better than getting one single step absolutely perfect but never moving one. It's all about making progress, about improving the whole system, not getting stuck trying to perfect one little piece. All right, so that's the big picture theory of how SREs evolve. Now, let's get down to brass tacks. How do you actually start an SRE team? Like from scratch, 0 to 1. So often, it all starts with just one person, a single, dedicated site reliability engineer. But this person is so much more than just an engineer, right? They have to be a founder, a diplomat, a coach, all at the same time. So what's the first thing this person does? They go straight for the fundamentals. We're talking about getting monitoring and observability in place, setting up a solid post-incident review process. But maybe most importantly, they have to build a reputation. They have to show they can get stuff done and that they're there to help. That trust, that's the currency they're going to need to make bigger changes down the road. Then you get to the next big milestone, the magic number 6. Why 6? It's all about creating an on-call rotation that doesn't burn people out, a humane on-call. See, with 6 engineers, you're only on call about 1 week every 6 weeks. That is sustainable. It means people can actually have a life, which is kind of important for keeping them around. Okay, so you've grown past that small, scrappy team. Now what? Once you get beyond a handful of SREs, a whole new set of questions pop up. How do you actually organize all these people? How do you structure a bigger SRE function? And yeah, There are more of these key inflection points as you scale. Hit 18 SREs and suddenly a follow-the-sun rotation is possible. That means no more 3 a.m. wake-up calls because you can hand off to a team in another time zone. It's a game changer. Then, get up to around 48 or more and, whoa, you're not a team anymore. You're now an SRE organization, and that comes with its own brand new rulebook. So how do you split up a big SRE org? Well, there are a few common ways to do it. You can stick SREs right into product groups, so they become the experts on, say, Google Maps. You could organize them by location, like a Dublin SRE team, or you could have a central team that just handles core infrastructure. There's even this idea of fungible teams, kind of like special ops, that you can send to tackle the biggest fires wherever they pop up. But here's the catch with all that growth. You have to be super intentional about keeping everyone on the same page, because if you're not careful, the teams start to drift apart. Their missions, their tools, and their cultures start to skew, and pretty soon, you've lost that cohesive, unified SRE identity you worked so hard to build. So let's talk about the end game. We've scaled up, we're organized. What's the point of it all? What's the ultimate impact a really mature SRE organization can have? What does winning actually look like? And it all comes back to this incredible concept of reliability strata. A truly mature SRE organization, they're not just playing whack-a-mole with individual service problems anymore. No, they're building the very foundation that the entire company's tech is built on. They're not just solving problems, they're making it impossible for whole categories of problems to even happen in the first place. And this isn't some abstract, cloudy idea. We're talking about real, tangible stuff. A central monitoring library that every single service just uses. A standard, blessed tool for doing canary deployments. A common way to handle authorization. These are the paved roads that make doing the right thing, the reliable thing, the easiest path for every single developer. Which brings us to the final, and maybe the most important question. This is the real litmus test for SRE success in your company. It has nothing to do with how many SREs are on the payroll. It's all about how much influence they truly have. Because at the end of the day, scaling SRE isn't about headcount. It's about scaling influence. The ultimate sign that you've made it, it's when reliability is no longer just some tech thing discussed by engineers. It's a core part of the business strategy. It's being discussed at the executive level, in the rooms where the big decisions get made. That's the end game. Thanks so much for tuning in.